Okay. On today's show, we're going to talk about the power of still using virtual consultations even after your salon gets reopened, how much money it's going to save you, how much time it's going to save you with one of our clients from the Academy, all on today's show.
Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo Revo Show.
So by now, most salons have reopened. In fact, I just found out salons in California reopened today in a lot of places. I know some are still on lock, but Doug, man, September 3rd, a lot of salons were closed for a long time. Some were a lot luckier than others, but good to see you this morning, Doug. Glad to be on with you.
Yeah, good to be here. Yeah, I think the biggest thing about, or one of the good things, or I'll say it's a good thing, learning the lessons and taking away wins from what happened. And because, you had no choice about what happened. They said shut down, you had to shut down. Everybody had to rethink what they're doing. And I think the thing is to pull some of those new ideas into how we do things in the future. So I really like, especially what Leti's bringing to the table today.
Yeah, by the way, if you brought some new ideas to the table after being on lockdown, do me a favor and say new ideas in the chat. I want to make sure, and just it'll let me know too that the podcast working. You can hear the audio, video, all those things. You can hear the audio, see the video. That's how that works. Yeah, and I think there's some really good things out there. On the show today, I don't like to say I got favorites, but I'm not going to lie. Leti's energy is infectious, and she is one of my favorites. I have, we have a bunch of people, and a lot of them are my favorites, but Leti is one of those favorites. Leti, what's going on? Welcome to the show today.
Hello, how are you?
Dude, so good to have you on. And I say that because I got to have the privilege. Now, Leti and her partner Dana run a salon called Pure Posh. Tell them where you are. Tell them how many staff you have, Leti, and tell me about that.
I have a salon. Dana and I have a salon in San Antonio, Texas, and I have a staff of 24, and nice. 16 of them are hairdressers.
Awesome. So yeah, you got a great salon, great staff. And Leti, we got to hang out a bit because you went and did last year, you did our high octane adventure. You came with us and you drove rally cars and we jumped off a mountain together, paragliding, and you and about 12 other salon owners had a blast. And now your husband's coming with us to do our next coming up really soon. We're going to go drive tanks. And your husband was like, I'm in for driving tanks.
Exactly. So, I wasn't about driving tanks. I'm like, yeah, I can give or take. So why don't we just send you? So we're sending the husbands to go drive tanks and shoot things.
Love it. I love it. I'm excited to hang out with Russ. And, one of the things that you did, and Leti, you jumped on this bandwagon really, really fast, right? Is that when we started, when a lot of these salons closed, we talked about this and we wanted to make sure that salons had ways to produce revenue. And you started using virtual consultations. So I want to talk about virtual consults today because not only did you use them during your closure, but then you reopened and you said something that kind of blew my mind is you were like, I am never giving up these virtual consultations. And so tell me about why you started using them and why you will always use them inside the salon now, because I think a lot of people are interested in that. And by the way, if you guys are interested in that, say interested, and Leti's going to share some cool stuff with us today.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me again. But
yes, of course.
It became a necessity when we were closed. When we sent out some crazy press release to all the TV stations in the area and said, we're selling color kits, come get one. Right. We had no idea the response. So the phone calls, the phones were ringing off the hook. And then we had to figure out how these people, I was going to match their hair color so they can come pick up a kit. So it wasn't like I could say, hey, my hair is dark brown. Well, there's 5 levels of dark, shades of dark brown. So there's no way.
Not one brown.
I figured out how to, with help from you guys, learning how to make those video chats, video calls. Yeah. And just made myself learn so much more things on the computer than I ever thought I would because I was behind a chair all my life. So now that I'm in an office by myself in this building and at a computer screen, I had to figure out how to use it. So it has been such a blessing to be able to do these. So then fast forward after we opened, we still kept it because we had so many people now in a different season of their life. And they're saying, okay, I know y'all were closed. So was my salon. Well, I did a thing. And I did another thing to my hair, and I'm thinking, well, what kind of thing? My gosh, you got to show me a picture or something.
You
like,
shave it off, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You colored one side pink and one side purple. Like, I really need to see this. So we kept the virtual consultations because it was really saving us time and a lot of money of having them come over and sit in my chair where we block off, a good 2 hours or 3 hours because this person on the phone is saying, this is what I need. And it's so dramatic. And then once they came into my chair, I thought, oh, all you need is this. And 45 minutes later, I'm stuck with these hours of,
now you got an hour and 15
time.
minutes is just junk, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so this is super cool. And Doug, we've talked about this a lot, right? Is like using the power of kind of these virtual consults. Letty, so you said you kind of know a little bit about the math on kind of what you did during your closure.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about like how much you made on, and if you know some of this stuff. Tell me about the revenue that you guys made while closed during virtual consults and color kits. Tell me about that.
It was crazy because we closed on March 24th. And then we got on the news April 14th. So that was a good, week and a half that we were closed and just selling color kits to our existing guests. That was bringing in some revenue. Now, existing guests knew how to find us. They followed us on Facebook already. They knew to just call and say, hey, it's me, so-and-so. And I would check their color, confirm with their stylist. Okay, pick it up on Tuesday. Easy. Yeah. Once we got on the news, now fast forward to on the news, people were coming from all over the city to do this, and I'm teaching them how to find me on Messenger, teaching them how to make a Messenger call, which I had just learned myself. Yeah. So so I realized that it was like, I think it was exactly like 15 days. We made a little under $1,500. Nice. I did the math of exactly how many days that once it aired on the news to the day we reopened, we made about $1,500 in just only the virtual consultations. So those guests that were calling to say, this is what I do with my color, let's go look at it. They would also say, well, do you have shampoo and conditioner? I'm completely out. I can't get it from anywhere. And shipments aren't coming in. Absolutely, I have it. So we were nice. Able to take care of all their needs.
So an extra $1,500 because you flipped on another resource, which is huge. And then that continued through that process, right? You were able to do that. Now, talking about this, Letty, because you said, after you reopened, you want to continue with the virtual consults because a lot of times you were getting that person who would come out, you'd block out 2 hours, right? And they'd only spend 45 minutes in your chair. I think you told me in another conversation.
Vice versa.
Let's say it again.
Or vice versa. I'd block out an hour and they needed 3 hours.
Yeah. And then so you'd have to send them away and come back. So help me understand, when you're doing this, would you say on average you at least saved an hour of time by, doing that virtual consult? I mean, roughly?
I would say, average 2 hours.
Average of 2 hours of saving.
Yes.
Got it. And just so I kind of get an understanding, what is it per, like, how much could you make in that 2 hours?
Oh, $200. I would say about $200 an hour.
Okay, so $200 an hour. So you're basically saving about $400 every time you do a virtual consult. Do you have any idea how many virtual consults you're doing right now a week?
In the very beginning, when we first opened, at least 4 or 5.
4 or 5 a week?
Yes, because they were just.
And then how about now? What do you do now?
I'm not as up at front as much as I used to be because I don't have to work the front desk as much. We're back to normal. So I'm thinking it's probably about 2, maybe about 2 a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's call it this way. So let's just use that low number of two a week right now. So if you're doing 2 virtual consults a week, and you're saving $400 each time you do it, so it's $800 a week, right? So if you amplify that, let me just do this a little math here, okay? Doug, I'm getting my math on. So let's say 800. Let's assume you take some weeks off for vacay, okay? Let's say you take 2 weeks off. So let's take 800 because that's $400 for those 2 hours times 2 of those a week. That's $800 a week times 50 weeks. That's $40,000 a year. Let's assume my math is fuzzy and it's extra. That's extra. Let's say it's $20,000 a year. But that's how I look at it, right, Letty? It's this idea that you're literally saving $20,000 to $40,000 a year that you can actually bill for and use for other time and do it. That's pretty massive.
Huge. I should have known you were going to do the math on it. I mean, I'll have Doug check the math, but still, should have known. That's awesome. Well, wow, yeah, it's a wowza.
Yeah, I like it. That's so good. That's left over from our digital event, by the way. But Doug, dude, what do you want to say about all this? Because that's pretty big.
That's pretty big. Because you know what? Yeah. As a salon owner and a woman, I was seeing the emotional side of it. I forget to do the math sometimes. I forget to put it on paper and find out what am I saving, what am I losing kind of thing. I forget about that part. All I see is my staff feeling a little defeated. Now my day fell apart, or now I can't take her. And this lady really, and it's another woman who wants a big change but can't have it today. And so I'm seeing the emotional side of it. And this is why I feel like it just saved us so much, even the emotional side for the guests and the stylist. And when we switched from using Messenger, because we were using the Messenger app, which was easy during closure because I'm in the office on my computer and I can just do it right there in the office. But then when we reopened, I couldn't have all the stylists using my office and coming in, everybody's using the same computer. So we got an iPad for just the front desk, and they just call just the front desk iPad, and the girls are walking around with it, and they know how to tell the stylist or the guest. It's like, hey, I need you to come online between this time and this time. I need you to be in direct sunlight, and then you're going to go into the shade. I need to make sure that you can put your head down. You're going to lift a section. I mean, like, we learned all of this. We did not know that in the beginning. We learned how to teach them how to do a consultation.
Doug, what do you want to know about all this stuff, man? What are some of the things that stand out to you here?
Well, I think just realizing something that came out of necessity, and then how they parlayed it into something they could use. I mean, so I think there's a lot of, look at all the things that everybody's gone through, and how do you turn that into ongoing revenue? And just it's the shakeup of doing things differently. So Leti, I'd ask you, what else have you thought about? What else have you looked at differently since you had to go through the shutdown and all that? What are some other things that, because I love the thing that you said too about the emotional side of it, because sometimes the emotional side of your clients and your staff is as important as the dollar side of it. I mean, I think they go hand in hand. So I'm just curious, is there any other thing that's come out of the shutdown that you said, you know what, this is something we can continue doing?
Yeah, that list of what we learned while we were closed to keep is so long, and it's still ongoing. Like, it's still almost every day. I want to say every office day. Every day I'm in the office and I'm doing something, I'm realizing, you know what, I learned that during the closure. I need to keep doing it. So whether it's my time to-do list, where I make myself work on this task for 1 hour, and then I switch from that to the other task for another hour. Like, that's another thing that I'd heard of but never implemented. And I had to do it when it was just me in the office, because my co-owner had to step away to go run her beauty school that she owned. It was like, okay, Leti, here you go. It's like, what do you know how to do? And there was times that I would text her like, Dana, people are doing these consultations. I need you to add a service to the computer. Like, I needed to be able to check them out online, and I didn't have a service even added to the computer yet because it was that new. And she was like, on it. So she added to the computer, virtual consultation, boom, 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 done. So I could start, charging for it and getting clients to getting taken care of. I've had some really fun guests who still, and it's so amazing how I still remember them. It's like I was at their house.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, I'm in my living room, and let me go over here. Oh, hold on. Oh, let me get my dog out of the way. So now when some of them called back and said, I'm just going to stay going to your salon. I'm already, I feel like I already know you. And it's amazing. Relationship for me.
I think for me, Leti, one of the things that was really interesting about pandemic in general is I felt like the world got a lot more intimate, right? Is like, you got to meet people. Like, I think everybody kind of had this like professional front that they had is like, I got my work mode and my home mode. And the pandemic actually made everybody reveal their home mode. Like it or not, you were like, nope, I'm at my kitchen table. Nope, I have 3 dogs running around. Nope, I got 2 kids that keep busting into my Zoom calls or whatever it is. And it made everything more personal and more intimate, right? And we talked about that in a time of social distancing. Can you create social intimacy? And again, how cool is that you're like, oh, I know that they have a waterfall in their backyard, or they really enjoy being poolside or whatever, because that's where they took you outside. It's like you got to, like, when in history would you be able to go and get an indoor outdoor tour of every one of your clients' house, except for if you were doing a virtual consultation?
Yeah. I mean, they would never invite us to our house. That's not a thing. So it was completely new. It was incredible. And like, I think I told Doug one of the times when we saw, I was so set on having these appointments set up. Like, I'm gonna talk to you at noon. I'm gonna talk to you at 12:30. I'm gonna talk to you at 1. And then it was that I had to set up times when they were gonna pick it up. So I had a sheet where I would write down what time are they picking up. And then I forgot that people are still working from home. So they were saying I can't come till after 5. And I'm thinking, aren't you off? Aren't you closed? No, they're working from home. They're working online. So they couldn't. So I was having to stay later than I have in years. I don't work late. And then just kind of rearranging things. Everything was so new. You know, I was talking to, I don't know if you remember David from Australia. He was live this morning, middle of the night for him. And he was talking about that. They're closed right now.
Yeah.
And he was talking about all the revelations, all the new things that are coming out while he's closed. And it just brought it all back to me. So I was texting him, I was messaging him on his live feed going, yes, I remember, you know, I can't even look back and hate it. I can't. I learned so much during those 42 days. I won't go back to hate it. I learned so much. And if virtual consultation was just the one thing, it doesn't matter. It was still the one thing, but there was really so many.
Yeah, so guys, real quick, if you have questions for Leti, do me a favor, type them into the chat. If you've got some questions for Leti about insights, about virtual consultations. And by the way, if you're just digging virtual consults, do me a favor, throw some exclamation marks up in the chat, give it some hearts, give it some likes, give it some comments, because we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple more lessons, learns, and insights about what happened during the closure, what happened that allowed her to now come back. And again, I think that's pretty freaking awesome to come back and be saving $40,000 a year. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 45 seconds. See you guys after the break. All right, welcome back to the Leti Latham Show, the only show that gives you insights 24/7 on what Leti is doing in her life. Welcome back. Oh, man. You guys can clearly see why Leti's a fun guest to have. And like I said, absolutely one of our favorites. And Leti, it's super fun having you on. Thank you for being here. You know, you just shared literally doing how you've been able to do virtual consults to save somewhere between $20,000 to $40,000 every single year. How you including you know, doing the color kits and shampoos, you were able to make money during your closure. You know, all those things. What would you say are some of the lessons that you could tell us about in working with your staff while you were closed? What are some of the things that you did, and how does that carry over into your time now as you guys are reopened?
One of the most touching things was, of course, my staff was not being paid. Obviously, they weren't working, and they, you know, weren't doing any hair, and they were so on board to volunteer for anything. I mean, I had so many, and they knew that we had to physically distance ourselves. So, or they had to wear a mask if we were together, and it didn't matter. I had so many that was telling me, when can I be there? What day do you want me there? I had one of the girls on my lead team, her and her husband came and painted the break room and just made it beautiful, just for something different when we came back. Another girl on my lead team was there with me in the trenches, getting those color kits made until the wee hours. And so I had some great staff, and it really brought us so much closer. And, you know, at the end, we had some staff that left and wanted to do different things, or maybe just not come back to doing hair. But it left us with the core. It left us with the ones who really wanted to stick, who we stuck through it together and want to stick with it for future. So it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Yeah, what I really notice about you, Leti, is I'm hearing you talk about this, is your attitude. By the way, if you guys are noticing Leti's attitude like I am, do me a favor and comment with the word attitude, because, you know, you kind of just slid something in there that you're like, you know, we had some people who wanted to do some different things, and like, that's okay. We learned, we got our core, and like we did what we needed to do. I think so many people out there, Leti, you know, and your attitude about being closed, and that was, you know, you're like, I wouldn't trade that. Like, I learned a lot. You know, you had to learn how to use Messenger, and you had to do virtual kits, and you had to do all these other things. And like, you know, I think the attitude is either you kind of smile, go through it and learn and figure out what makes you better through that whole process. Like you said, get down to your core people of who the right people are on the team. Or you sit around and say, God, that was the worst time of my life, and I wish it would just be over. What do you attribute that attitude to? What is it that about you? I mean, you're a pretty positive person anyway, but like, how can you help somebody who's got maybe the other attitude?
Well, of course, number one, I'm going to say my faith. I mean, I have faith, and I have faith in a God who is going to be backing me up no matter what, and he's in control. He's in control of all of it. So even though I don't like what he's doing sometimes, he's in control. So, I mean, let's be honest. It's true.
Not always voting for that as the direction, but dealing with it when you can.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. We don't all like what always happens, but I have a God who's got my back, and I have High Performance Salon Academy. Remember, you guys saw me every morning at 8 a.m. my time, all through the week, and you saw me make my protein shake and have my avocado toast, and those morning calls.
Are we not going to sell out the fact of how you do your makeup in the morning? Because I saw that many a mornings.
You're gonna tell everybody about that? Wow, Jason.
To say it. I will just say there's a ritual that Leti has of putting on her makeup, which I got to see many a mornings. I'm not going to say what it is. If you don't want to say it, I'm not going to sell it out.
You can
but
just say it. I'm proud of my Mickey Mouse ears.
You say it.
Okay, I wear Mickey Mouse ears every morning when I do my makeup because I need a headband. Obviously, I have bangs, so I have to put my hair back to do my makeup. And why not wear sequins Mickey Mouse ears to pull your hair back? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. So anyway, that's what I do. So one time I had to turn my camera on, and Jason saw my Mickey Mouse ears, and I was like, well, now that everybody's seen it, then whatever.
Now it's out. And I go back to the level of intimacy, right, Leti? Like, exactly. I would have never known it, nor would the amount of people who watch our podcast ever know that you put you put rhinestone Mickey Mouse ears on every morning to do your makeup. But again, this is the thing, right? Is we got very intimate out of doing, meaning, and by the way, it wasn't just Leti and I on a call every single day at 8 a.m. It was like, Leti, myself, and everybody inside our High Performance Salon Academy. We were getting on these calls, and we went through the entire pandemic together. I mean, that was the deal, right? And as all our salons started to reopen, we tapered off, and we've now modified it. And I send out videos to everybody and all that stuff. But it was again, I don't think I would trade that for anything either, Leti. I think it was a really amazing thing to just get to know everybody, see everybody at their best and at their worst. And I think that sometimes, when people were stressed out. I mean, how many of those calls did we have, Leti, where people were jumping on those calls? They were stressed out, they were freaking out, they were worried, they were like, I think my whole staff's gonna walk out on me, or I did have part of my staff walk out. And we got to hang out with everybody in the morning as they were getting ready and when they were having good days and bad. You know what I mean?
Yes, it was incredible. And it's like I said, it was my faith, and then you guys and my husband backing me up too. I mean, the fact that he would sit next to me on those calls, it helped. It helped so much. And
it was always good to see Russ poke his head in.
Yeah, that was always fun, right? And my staff, we did Zoom calls with our staff 3 days a week while we were closed. Not everybody could make it every single time. We rotated the hours of the day, so it wasn't always early morning. It wasn't always late in the evening, but it was so that we could see their faces and they could see ours, and they could see that, hey guys, we're still here. Leti's still smiling. Dana's still killing it. We're going to be okay. I'll see you when you get back. So and that was another thing that we learned from the Academy, is that stay in contact. Make sure they see your faces. You see their faces. And so that I can remember the people who did not attend those calls for whatever reason are no longer with us. And it's not like they got fired for it. It wasn't the case. It was just, it happened. It was the ones who wanted to stay in the core. And it's been incredible. It's been amazing. So yeah, we can. And it's like I say, the friend that has a salon, they're closed in Australia, he's feeling this right now. He's saying, you know what? We're going to be okay. This is actually a blessing in disguise. And it was like, I remember. Yes, you're right. It really is. I'm glad you're already seeing that, because it truly is. And the girls are looking back at the same way.
So guys, if you're digging this and this is what you're about, I mean, you love this attitude, you love all these things, do me a favor, throw some more exclamation marks in the chat, just like Chris Moody did. What's up, Chris Moody, if you're still on with us? And just want to say, Leti, Chris Moody's watching. Chris Moody's on come on, man. This is the podcast. You never know who's going to show up. You never know. So here's the deal. If you're really digging today, throw some exclamation marks. And Leti, I think my biggest takeaway is as I'm listening to you, and I know there's a lot of salon owners that still feel like they're struggling. I know there's salon owners in New York that are still at 50% capacity. There's some salons that are at 25% capacity, and they're trying to figure it out. What I would just say is, remember, there's lessons to be learned across the board. And I'll leave this last thing out as we do it. And Leti, hopefully you can come join us for some of this too, is coming up on October 19th, we're going to do our Salon and Spa 2020 Bounce Back event, where we're actually going to get together for an entire one-day event. I don't know if you even knew this, Leti. We're going to get together for an entire one-day event publicly. We're going to do a free event for salon owners that are not in our High Performance Salon Academy. Of course, Academy Fam Bam is welcome to come, Leti. I mean, clearly, like you always come. But we're going to do an entire training program for the whole day on what were the lessons that Doug and I / every, hundreds of people inside the Academy learned during the pandemic to make sure that you survive, that you bounce back, and you have the best year you have ever had. And that event is going to be 100% free. We're doing it for free. We just said we're not charging a damn thing for it because there's too many salons out there that still have that other attitude, still have that other mindset. And if you guys want information on that, do me a favor, just comment bounce back or send me a message and say bounce back into chat on Instagram, on Facebook. I don't care. You can send it on YouTube, TikTok. I'll find another social media for you to hit me on if you need to. I don't really care. But yeah, Chris Moody said still here. Yeah, Chris Moody hanging out with us. So I'm just saying, it's going to be a good time. If you guys want free tickets, there is a limit on free tickets, so you got to grab them before they're gone. But do me a favor, again, October 19th, our Salon and Spa 2020 Bounce Back. Leti, it's been awesome having you on. It's people like you in the Academy that help keep other people inspired. I'm so grateful to have you on today. It was my pleasure. Doug, anything you want to say as we wrap up, brother man?
Yeah, I mean, Leti is just infectious, like we talked about at the beginning. It's like I said, we're probably gonna have to create the Leti show. So,
yeah, Leti gets into the podcast.
Great having her on. Yes,
I'm all about it.
I love it. All right, well, we'll do Mickey mornings with Leti. We'll make it happen. We'll get it done. Yeah, Mickey mornings. And if you want tickets, do me a favor and say bounce back, because I see Dana's on watching too. She said she wants to come. So hopefully you and Dana will come join us for the 2020 bounce back, and we'll be sharing some insights. We'll have tons of our Academy fan bam there, and they'll be making it an appearance, I have no doubt. And we're just gonna rock it, have a good old time, and make sure that we help salon owners all over the world, whether you're closed, whether you're open. We'll make it happen. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. See you next week. Thanks, Leti.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Evo Revo podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.